The Ant Manifesto, Act 1. For my sister, Ellie. Life itself is the supreme guru. Be attentive to its lessons and obedient to its commands. When you personalize their source, you have an outer guru. When you take them from life directly, the guru is within. Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. It started quietly, like the breeze softly gathering leaves, like an inhale before a gust, like a shimmering kettle that had been broiling all morning, a hum, a single unending note calling all things into order, before the thunderous piston of all things past pressed itself neatly and firmly for one last time upon the void and fell back asleep for some time. Introduction. A while back, with friends at their apartment in Lyon, France, we were sat, as often we would be, with legs crossed or draped over the bedroom's window ledge, a space large enough to fit 4 bums comfortably. And there was a pigeon, a beautiful speckled creature with an air of uncertainty about him. His looks were jumpy, and his feet were itchy. He looked like an accidental creature, one born out of place, never quite mastering its environment, or finding true relaxation or peace. He wobbled, and his coo wobbled too. I looked at the bird and found myself all of a sudden heartbroken, a speckled mirror. I saw in his face what seemed a reflection of my own longings, a morsel of hope, a single gasp of possibility, one lone chime of promise. They seem kind, said the bird's face in his peering posture. Maybe I can fly with them. I wanted to clutch the bird to my chest and press into him my admiration, my adoration, my willingness to help, to care, to feed, to prune out, and to pick out. I will care for you, little lost pigeon. No longer shall you comb the streets for scraps, nor shall the gutter ever be the solution to the pangs of your stomach. I shall be your source of sustenance, and your friend. My eyes met his, and he curtailed round the corner, out of sight. He seemed almost ashamed he was so hurried, so fretted. It was like watching someone walk away who you know, no matter what you say or do, they will surely beat themselves up later. The moment was over like a whip crack. To be washed with compassion and then flooded by loss in the same instant is a peculiar emotional phenomenon, like being blown up and pierced simultaneously. A moment so sharp that it could only have been pulled to a point by some force or will or intention, consciously, at least, by my estimations. At any rate, I nodded in acknowledgement. This was not the first time where it appeared to me that the universe was expressing itself. And not only this, but expressing to me the same turmoil, the same endless spiral of self-heartbreak it must endure, where a world of scraps and gutters and subordination is the unnecessary conclusion of a race of pigeons who have willingly plucked their feathers, clipped their wings, and emptied the fields of food and beauty. It does not have to be this way, said the frightened pigeon. Join me, and you shall know how it feels to fly, said life. This is not an ordinary story, and it will not be told ordinarily. I want, somehow, to communicate with tools as blunt and insulting as words, several ideas, but the endless struggle of observing something within yourself, something that works, to pull apart a belief, a concept, or a feeling, twist and shape that sentiment into sentences, and package it neatly and succinctly into another person's brain, without confusion nor conflict. This is not easy. Alan Watts said that, when you try to talk about the processes of nature, what is complicated is not the processes of nature, but trying to put them into words. That's as complicated as trying to drink up the ocean with a fork. It takes forever. And with this, he is not speaking only about the formation of a mountain range or the courtship rituals of an Amazonian moth, but human interaction also. When we begin discussing and analyzing something as basic and primordial as love, or fraternity, or childishness, or compassion, we invariably choke. Trying to explain to someone, To guide someone in altering their emotional landscape is like telling a 45-year-old man how to wear his trousers correctly. But I know how to dress myself, he will say. I do not need to receive input on your part. He continues with a frown and impatient eyes. I have worn my trousers this way for my whole life. What have I to learn from a child like you? Well, if you removed the denim covering your hips, perhaps we could see the consequence of a lifetime's worth of chafing, I might retort. So rather than removing your trousers and inspecting individually each point of friction, I will create a character so that you can better appreciate your own wounds on his skin. Many of these stories are my own, or belong to people with whom I have brushed shoulders with and exchanged tales. To begin, we will start with a short story about how Anthony lost his trousers. Well, tracksuits. Chapter 1. Anthony was not an unhandsome boy. He had a symmetrical, angular face. His skin was never too pale, his teeth were straight enough to appear straight without close inspection, and he had green eyes with tinges of hazel and gold. When he was between 11 and 12, he moved to school again, for the fourth time in as many years. The previous school was serene, warm like a children's book. The classrooms were named after trees, and all teachers would dish out cuddles, warm, inviting, satisfying cuddles, like a pudding after a carvery. This new school, however, Anthony felt like a baby, torn from his mother's breast and transplanted onto a conveyor belt, where he would have to wait his turn to receive synthetic milk from a synthetic nipple for the next 5 years or so. The taste was chemical and calculated. He did not feel cared for by his teachers, but pruned by them, like a vine tomato being guided up a beanpole in order to produce the most fruit. And he did not feel welcomed by the children either, for they were concerned with haircuts and girls and social media statistics. This was an alien world for Anthony, and he felt it. So Anthony got his haircut. In fact, he went to the hairdressers and asked directly for a replica haircut of the barber. He created an account on Facebook. He started smoking a bit. He started writing birthday wishes on people's walls. Bought new shoes, a new pencil case. You could say, all in all, that Anthony started trying. For his efforts, Anthony was rewarded with a mate. She was called Beau, and she was beautiful. The momentum was already there. He was the new boy, after all. All he had to do was disclose his incidental abdominal muscles in the cloakroom to Beau and her friend, and before he knew it, he and Beau were betrothed on Facebook. Their parents were not told. Clouds brewed in those days, however, gathering at the cusps of Anthony's consciousness. They loomed, fatly, unashamed of their turgid, droopy cloud cuffs, waiting indignantly to rain. For Anthony could feel the animosity brewing in the bellies of his male peers, and he felt the roots of friendship wilting more and more as he strived for the same acceptance he had grown accustomed to in his previous school. The more he probed, however, the more the excavation tunnels established in search of connection collapsed upon themselves. Falling into a new school environment, Anthony decided, is a bit like dropping a tiger into a pit of predators. The other beasts have etched their territories in the sand already, and any allowance for the tiger must be negotiated or fought for. Anthony felt like a hedgehog, however, only disguised as a lion, taller than the other boys, a new mane, a fresh roar, but searching for a pile of leaves to rest in, not rustle. Though starting a dalliance with the school doe was, in consequence, akin to slinking up to each beast of the pit individually, he found, and running a long claw along their haunches, and then pissing in their pile of leaves as an afterthought. Anthony was walking a tightrope that he had begun walking and couldn't stop. He had no intention of being up so high, as though he had walked to the bathroom at night and stepped through the door to find himself at the precipice of an iceberg leaning into the ocean. The water looked cold, indifferent. The clouds lumbered forward. One biting October day, Anthony walked onto the astroturf per morning custom towards the huddle of boys there. As he moved within 5 or so meters from them, the pack ripped itself hurriedly into individual atoms and began whizzing and whirring around the court, circling and chopping around Anthony. A lion, hyenas, a hedgehog, Dutch cyclists. Trying to force a laugh, telling himself it was nothing but a joke. Nothing is about to happen, they are my friends. Anthony spun around, attempting to keep the cackling confusion at bay with his eyes. They darted here and there, choking with anticipation, hungry for it. Guys, wait a second, what are you... Anthony's tracksuits were pulled down to his ankles. His pants, too. It was cold. October. There was not much to see, though everyone stole a hearty glance. 2, 3, 4 moments. The pants were returned. The penis, concealed. The damage, irreparable. Word spread, of course. Anthony was reordained. The new boy became Baby Dick. Baby Dick became single, debowed. Baby Dick felt alone. Baby Dick did not want to come to school again. Baby Dick scrawled angrily on his maths book that his life was ruined, hoping, I guess, that the teacher might read it, might help. But the book came back marked, tallied. The message lay undisturbed in the margins. It wasn't even crossed out, just left untouched, unnoticed. Baby Dick cried in the toilets.